All right, we're back. And that was a big, long session we did there, almost 2 hours. COMP397, it's web game programming, and it's week 10, lesson 10, part 2. And I've kind of taken care of one person, and now I want to take care of the other people, right? So, and again, we'll do something for Wendell next week or someone else. We'll do maybe a box 2D or something else, and maybe even some particle effects if I can get into that as well. Because I want to try and give you some, or animation, depending on what we want to go into. So we want to explore phasers. So I'm going to kind of shut this down a little bit. One thing is I want to create a new folder up here in preparation. I know I'm going to need a new repository because we're going to do a phaser demo, right? So let's do that. So I'm going to create a new repository here. We're going to make a new phaser boilerplate, right? So we're going to say COMP397-phaser boilerplate. We're going to see what that is, right? With, of course, typescript. So pick this repository. There it is. It's waiting for me. Okay, number 1. 2, I've got this old file that I've been working on so far, right? And I need a new place to start things off. I don't need this anymore. Let's pass this all around. Make a new folder here on my desktop to clutter my folders in my desktop even more, right? And add in this thing. So I'll call it the same thing. So COMP397, and it'll be called phaser boilerplate. And did I say phaser boilerplate or phaser demo? What did I do? Just because, you know, yeah, phaser boilerplate. Good. Okay. So that's the first thing. And the next thing is I want to connect it to my Visual Studio Code. So I'm going to kind of bring this in. So I'm going to say this without knowing anything about phaser, let's say. Okay. I know I'm going to need a blank space, a blank slate for everything that I need to do, right? I'm going to initialize the repository here by right-clicking and opening up in terminal, right? So here's my open in terminal, like I said, and here it is. And in here, what I want to do is I want to initialize my Git repository, so git init. And I also want to, over here, add a git ignore file. So I'll say new git ignore file, just in preparation, git ignore. Right? And inside there, I know I might need node modules again, because Stephen might make me deploy it on Heroku again. You never can tell, right? Modules. I might need something called Bower components. So we're going to put that in there too. And I'm going to probably have some kind of typings. So I'm going to ignore my typings this time around. So I don't want to put that up there anymore, right? Because for, you know, CreateJS and TypeScript, I use it. So might as well use it. I know I'm on the Mac. I'm going to put a DS store. All DS store files are going to be missing as well. Right? So no DS store files. So those are kind of some of the things I want to ignore. And there might be others. So the first thing is my git ignore file, because it stops stuff from going up the line that I don't need. Okay, now let's connect us. So we're going to make an initial commit with just a git ignore file. So we're going to say, go back up to online, and just so we can follow along. And I need my first commit, but I need this as well. So first, inside my folder here, I'm going to say I've added one change, which is my git ignore file. And in my message, I'm going to say initial commit. And then press the checkbox. Now I can't, because I haven't set up some place to push it. There's no place to push. I got to do that on the command line. And this is where I'm going to copy and paste, not that. Copy and paste the stuff from GitHub. Yay. This command right here, which I could probably type normally if I'm lazy enough. If I'm not lazy to do it. Okay, good. And now I'm going to say git push -u origin master, which I'm going to push everything up to GitHub. So I've got that little git ignore file here up on GitHub, which is right here. This is the only thing I have right now in my phaser boilerplate for COMP397. So step 1. Step 2, and you may or may not like this one, but I'm going to do everything through Bower, right? So you need to install a new package. I'm just going to kind of dial these down a little bit, so all I need is this one. I want to make a new package that you need to install. So we're using Node, and I've got you just install Node, and Node works so well. I want you to install Bower. So it's npm install Bower, right? And it's -G, right? It's npm install -G Bower, -G for global, and press enter. That'll install Bower in the global namespace. So please do that, or else you can't do phaser. Well, you can, but it's going to be a pain in the ass. Now, in order for Bower to work, you have to have Git installed properly. Just keep that in mind. If Git is not installed properly in your system for whatever reason, Bower will fail. You good? Okay. I already have it, so I'm not going to do it. I could already do it. If you do it again, all it does is reinstall it and get the latest version. Once I've got Bower, let me know when you got it there, Jake, because it's really for you. You good? Takes us time, man. I know there's a whole Bower is another package manager. So we talked about different packages manager, right? So if I'm using if I want to build something on the mean stack with Node, Express, Mongo, and so on, I use npm, Node Package Manager, right? In Visual Studio, we use NuGet, right? That's what we used in the beginning, the first days we were together. We used NuGet to get all our stuff. Well, there's a front-end package manager called Bower. We use Bower to get all of our components as opposed to go to the website. I don't want to go to Phaser's website. I want to go Bower install Phaser, and it should grab the files for me wherever they are, the latest version, and keep this up to date for me inside my file. You know, you're good? Okay. I know that I want to have a scripts folder. So let's set up our folder structure. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to go into my folders, and I'm going to right-click in my folders and go New Folder. And I'm going to call this new folder Scripts, right? Because that's what I want to have all my scripts. Inside my scripts folder, I want to have a new folder that I want to call lib. So my lib, all my scripts are going to live in here, in my lib folder, right? And I need to tell Bower to put them in there. So I'm going to right-click and create a new file in the root of my folder called Bower RC. So I'm going to say Bower RC. And Bower RC is basically a configuration file where I'm going to put in just these two, braces right here, right? And press Control Space. And notice it gives me a little bit of code hinting because of how smart Visual Studio is. And I want to look for a directory. And I want to choose, instead of Bower components, I want it to I want all my Bower stuff to install into scripts lib. That's where everything's going to go for Bower. So when I use Bower to get my stuff, it's going to go into my scripts lib folder, as opposed to the default Bower _ components, which is a pain in the ass. That means that my gitignore file, right? My gitignore file has to change. By the way, if I'm too fast, you can always go to GitHub at the end and see all these things. So my gitignore file, here it is, right? I need to add in this stuff under scripts lib. I don't want to have my whole scripts folder because then you won't have anything online, right? That's bad. But my lib folder is just my libraries from like online, which I don't care for. You can get them through Bower. So again, it's going to be scripts /lib. Only my scripts lib. There it is. Okay, so I've got these things set up. Now, I know it's going to be a TypeScript. I'm going to use TypeScript, so I might as well set that up now, right? So I'm going to right-click and new file, and it's going to be tsconfig.json. I'm going to set that up. My tsconfig.json file. And of course, I'm going to press Control Space. I'm going to add in my compiler options with a map option. My source map, I want to print them out as well because it helps me with debugging. There it is. And I want to print Control-Shift-B in Visual Studio Code to create my task runner, right? So I'm going to create my new task runner, so configure it. And I want to get rid of all this stuff like we did last time. So all this stuff's got to go because I don't care about any of this stuff. And all I want in my task runner is this stuff. So I'm going to kind of get all this, and this, and all this. I'm going to kill all this stuff here. Yay. And get rid of all this too. So I don't need to look for hello world. There is no hello world. Okay? So that's my little task runner. That's all it's going to be. And that's all you should have. Whether it's Mac, Windows, or whatever, it's the same. Okay, so I've got 4 files that I've got to add in. This is just my folder structure. I know I'm going to have assets like before, so that's another thing I've got to add in there. So I'm going to go new file, new folder, assets. I'm probably going to have an images folder. So I'm going to new folder, images for my game, right? And let's go do a new folder under assets again for audio or sounds. So let's call it sounds this time to make it a little different. Images and sounds. And another new folder for fonts, if we're going to have fonts. Okay. We're just building up our folder structure. Scaffolding, slowly, right? Okay. One other folder we need is content for our CSS file. So I'm going to say new folder, content, even with the Microsoft style. And new file, we're going to make this called game.css. And inside our game.css, we're just going to say it as a placeholder for some comments that says custom CSS for our game. That's what this is going to be, right? Okay, cool. Now, we probably need an indexed HTML page, but I'm not going to add that in yet because I want to know what I'm required to put in through Phaser. We're going to go on the Phaser website in a second. Before we do this, I want to add in some dependencies, right? So let's try and put it in through Bower. So without knowing anything, I don't know about Phaser, I'm going to go like this. I'm going to say Bower install Phaser -- save. What it's going to do, it's going to hunt out there for something called Phaser. It's going to look for a version of Phaser that's compatible. And if it's out there, right, it's going to download the latest version of Phaser and install it in my directory. And I'm hoping it'll do that for us because that'll be a really big bonus. If it doesn't do it, right, if it doesn't hunt and find Phaser, that would be a problem. And I've seen, it looks like it found, you know, Phaser 2.4.4 and .scripts. And it says one thing I do see, it says no bower.json file to save to. Use bower init to create one. That's a problem I forgot to do. So let's try that out. So I've got my Phaser already. It's in my scripts, but let's try this out. I'm going to say bower init. And what this does is it runs a little wizard. And it says, hey, here's my name of my project. And here's my description, which is Phaser boilerplate for COMP397 at Centennial. There we go. Enter. My main file. I don't have a main file. I'm just going to kind of accept. Here's my author name. It's me. MIT license with my home page as an example, right? And set my currently installed components as dependencies, sure. And add common and ignore files to ignore list, sure, we'll add that in there. And yes, we'll change everything. And yes, I'll accept it. So what this has done is create a bower.json file. And the bower.json file, what it does, it keeps track of all of our front-end dependencies. Like if I was going to install jQuery, it would go grab jQuery and install it. Now we have Phaser 2.4.4. I don't even know if that's the right library. I just went up and grabbed Phaser, right? So let's check. Now this is where we check. So we're going to go up on the Phaser website. So I'm going to say Phaser JS, right? And I'm going to see where it is. So here's Phaser. It's under phaser.io. And it looks like it says download and get started via or fork via GitHub. And there's also another section probably that should show us how to do it via TypeScript. And they've kind of taken it out, which is okay with me. Well, let's just click this. So 2.4.4 is the right version, right? So let's see what the other versions are. It says download Phaser, right? Getting started. Oh, look, there is a TypeScript guide right here. Perfect for Phaser, right? There's a JavaScript guide here and a TypeScript guide there. Let's do TypeScript because that's the one we want to use. I'm going to click on the TypeScript guide. And it says, hey, this guide was written when TypeScript was on version 0.95 using Visual Studio 2013 or way later. TypeScript has been rapidly updated, so if you find any problems, you know, ignore them basically, right? Don't worry, we'll do this. And this is Visual Studio that they're using their stuff in. Like if you notice, they've kind of created a greeter class or whatever, and they have this phaser.d.ts file that we need to use, right? Because Phaser or phaser.min.js files is the one that we need to add in, right? And then we have some kind of indexed HTML, just like we normally would have. I'm going to use this as our template. That's why I waited to do it, right? Notice how we have an app.js page. We're going to make it a game.ts that we're going to use, right, in our style sheets. And you know what? I also want to make it responsive. So, I mean, this is very similar to if I was going to make our app. So, I mean, I could take this one or not. Notice I'm adding in my phaser.js file here, right? There's got to be added somewhere. So I've got to do that. And there's a class that we create called Simple Game, right? We're gonna create with a constructor through TypeScript. It's all ready for us to go, right? All right, so let's check this out. So let's go to Get Bootstrap, because I like using that little code snippet, right? So getbootstrap.com, and I'm going to go to Getting Started, right? And under Getting Started, if I scroll down, I have a little code snippet, which is an index.html page right here. I'm going to grab that, and now I'm going to create an index.html page in my files here. So right here, I'm going to say New File, index.html. And inside here, I'm going to copy and paste my snippet. There it is. And I'm going to get rid of all this stuff because I don't need it, right? I'm just using this as a scaffold, right? Really, a really quick and dirty code snippet that I don't have to do on my own. I'm going to get rid of all this stuff for now, even this hello world. So this is all. You're just using it for that. All right, I want to use Bootstrap because Phaser is okay, and I want to make it compatible, so it might be mobile compatible in the future for us, right? So in order for me to use Bootstrap, I got to install it, and I can do that through Bower. First of all, I'm going to change the title to Phaser Boilerplate. Okay. And I want to install it in here. So how do I do that? I go into Bower, so I'm going to clear the window. I'm going to say Bower install. First of all, for me to use, for me to put together a working version of Bootstrap, I need jQuery. So I'm going to get that first. So jQuery, and then I'm going to say -- save. So here's my jQuery. And now I'm going to do the next one. Bower install Bootstrap, right? -- save. So get the Bootstrap for us. By the way, you can do Create.js this way too. So I can get all the files instead of me going up and downloading them. It's going to show you all this stuff today anyways, just another excuse. So that's two. So I've got jQuery and Bootstrap, and it put them all, like I said, because I directed it with my Bower RC, it's directed it to put it all inside my scripts lib. Take a look. My scripts lib has Bootstrap, jQuery, and Phaser now. It's all nicely organized, right? Notice how Phaser has a lot of stuff in here. It has a TypeScript example, right? It even has my d.ts files already built in if I wanted to use these typings. But I'm going to use my own. You're going to see that in a second. Also, the other thing is, if I go to build, I got to find my phaser.min.js. This is the one I need if I'm going to add this in, right? So, and this is all inside my lib folder, right? Okay, because I'm adding Bootstrap, jQuery, and Phaser, I might as well prepare and add in my TSDs, right? So because I want to have I want to have code hinting, so I'm going to do that now. I'm going to say TSD install, and I'm going to do it all in one line. Let's try this out so we can show you. So TSD install, I want to add in jQuery, Bootstrap, and Phaser. And it's save. So it's going to go out to the web, grab all those typings, and put them together. Now, it didn't find Phaser. Right? Notice how I went out to find it, and it got those other two typings. So that's okay because Phaser includes them, right? And it got Bootstrap and jQuery, but not Phaser. See, Bootstrap and jQuery are here, but I couldn't find Phaser. Let's try it again on its own. So I'm going to go TSD install Phaser, right? And sometimes it's Phaser, Phaser.js, no results. Let's try Phaser.js. Let's see if I can, so I can do it automatically, and it doesn't do it. Let's see if I go to the web and do a little bit of a look, because I want to try to have everything installed properly. Install Phaser. TSD link Phaser learn user Phaser TypeScript part 1 with definitely typed. Does even definitely typed have Phaser in it? So let's take a look and see if there's definitely typed. And if it doesn't have Phaser, there's no point using it, like the TSD I'm saying. These are all the type definitions that exist. So I'm just looking to see if we have phaser listed here, because if we don't, then we might as well use the ones that come with the package, which is totally cool. I just have to redirect them. I'll copy them out of there and put them where they're supposed to go. So pH, and that's why we can't find it, because phone gap is here, phantom is here, but as you know, phaser. So phaser isn't part of definitely type. They've provided their own libraries, and that's okay, because we have them. We have the libraries right here under our typings that exist inside our phaser library. There they are, right? So what I want to do is get this TypeScript versus TypeScript and create another folder under typings called phaser, right? Manually for myself, which is a good practice. So right click on typings, new folder, I'm going to call it phaser. And I'm going to take these typings, so p2d.ts, all this stuff, all this phaser comments and everything else that's inside my these files. Now notice how I can't do this. I can't multiply grab everything. So it's better that I go into my phaser boilerplate and do it through my operating system. I'm just going to grab this, put it over here for a second. And I'm just going to lower this down and, sorry, go here. And what I'm going to do with my typings, there's my typings, is I want to go into scripts, lib, phaser, TypeScript, and I'm going to pull these into one place. I'm going to copy all this stuff, even the README file, and I'm going to pull this into my phaser. There we go. So I just made a copy of it here. So now it's organized. But, however, my tsd.d.ts file is not updated because my tsd.d.ts file only has this. So I've got to add all these in there. That's fine. I can do that manually the first time and the last time. So I'm going to kind of put, instead of jQuery, I'll put in phaser in here. And it's the same thing that we normally have to do, right? So I need the p2.d.ts file. So p2. And copy the rest. And once I've done this once, guys, go up online and grab it so you don't have to do it. Phaser comments. Or if you want to follow along and do it yourself, you can certainly do that. It's good practice for you. Pixie comments. And pixie.d.ts. And I don't care about my README file. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Doing this. Phaser comments. Oh, what about phaser itself? Without that one, that would be bad, right? So let's add in phaser. So phaser and then phaser.d.ts. So that's all of them inside my d.ts file. Also, I can't include them in my TSD file because I don't have, as a dependency, it won't pull them in from definitely type. That's why I'm leaving them where they are. So you have them when I pull it up online, right? Okay, cool. Now, after we've got our typings all set up, I want to create another folder that's inside my scripts, right? Which is going to be my core library, like we normally did. So new folder, I'm going to call this library core, where our game.ts file is going to live. So right click and put a new file. We're going to call game.ts, right? And this is where our stuff is going to live. And inside the same core folder, right, we're going to make a new file called underscore reference.ts. We're going to swim to that tsd.d.ts file for the first time. So we're going to say, I'm going to go to reference path equals to, and we're going to, from our core, we're going to go up one to scripts, up another one. So it's going to be bang, bang, up two, down into typings, and then down into tsd.d.ts for us to get the reference. That's the reference path to that big long file of references. So I only have to do this once. So this reference.ts has all my references that I'm going to add in from now on. I never have to do this again. Okay, cool. And I can add in game references here only for my stuff in here. Now, I don't have to put it in my game.ts file anymore. The only thing I have to include in my game.ts file is that one reference path. So it's going to say // right? And the reference path is equal to underscore reference.ts, which is going to include my references in for the first time and forever. All right, let us transpile so that it creates those extra folders, right? And I also have these 99 folders that I have here that it's saying that I have to add in because I have typings. Let's go back to my gitignore file for a second. I have node modules, I have Bower components, I have typings, I have my DS store, I have my scripts lib folder. So what am I getting that I have 99 plus files? What are these changes? It says these are errors. And this is duplicate identifier AABB in p2.d.ts, right? So there's some stuff in here that I may not need, right? Yeah. And let's see if I can get rid of them in my TypeScript library. And luckily, I already have this thing, so I can go back and do this. So I'm going to go back into my scripts, back into my lib, back into my phaser, back into my TypeScript, and right-click and delete. And see if that solves the problem. It may not, by the way. The next piece is I may not need all those things. So if I go back online, and if I look at this phaser demo, right, it's going to tell me what I need for my TypeScript files to work, right? Otherwise, I mean, if they won't work. So I may only need my phaser.d.ts. Notice how that's the only thing I need. The other ones might be extras, right? So we can get rid of those. And again, I can always add them in later on if I need to. So I'm going to go back to my typings. So let's go back to typings. Let's go back to all this stuff. This is okay, but I'm in my tsd.d.ts file. I only need my phaser.d.ts file. I don't know about Pixie yet, but for now, I'm just going to cut it out, see if it gives me an error, and then start pasting stuff back in again to see if I can add stuff in. So cut it out, save, and let's see if I transpile, if I get errors again. Because I'm still getting errors. There might be some duplication somewhere. Duplicate identifier phaser in phaser comments. So it's still actually finding them. Even though I've taken them out, these, because they're in my typings folder, right? Under phaser, it's still seeing all these extra stuff, this extra information. So we have to get rid of it. It's okay, we can always get it back by reinstalling phaser again. Right, so get rid of that. I'll leave, I'll start, and I'll start seeing what I'm seeing here if I got the right thing. My phaser comments, delete that one. And Pixie comments. And pixie.d.ts. So, and now transpile. Still showing errors. Okay, so now it's saying it's not found. Right? See how it's saying it's not found? Phaser p2.d.ts not found. This is the stuff that you have to do because remember the things have been updated like we talked about before. So it's trying to find these things under typings. So typings phaser, right? And let's see how that is. Well, if you look through here, it's looking for these two files, right? p2.d.ts, right? Okay, so let's go back. And I'm going to reinstall this stuff now, right? Because that's what I need to do, right? So I'm going to go back and reinstall phaser as a Bower component. So I'm going to say Bower install phaser -- save. And it's going to go back out and grab phaser again, right? And if I get rid of it under lib, just make sure it's not gotten rid of. So I can get those changes back. So I deleted them from here thinking that's where they were. So let us get rid of phaser altogether, delete, move to trash, and put it back. Okay, good. So now they're back. So here's phaser. And I've got my TypeScript files back. So I need these two files. So I need this one and the TypeScript. There it is. I need this one back. These are the ones I need here in the file. Pixie.d.ts and p2.d.ts. How's it doing Pixie if I have no pixie.js? Maybe you need to install that as a dependency, which I can totally put in, no problem. So go back to typings, under phaser, and paste. Good. And under phaser, what's the other thing it needs? Under phaser also needs p2.d.ts. So p2.d.ts. p2.d.ts. Okay, now I got 46 errors. Let's go back and look at p2.d.ts. So Pixie, that's all that in. Look at these are all the errors that I'm getting from my blend modes. And why is that? It says duplicate identifier default. See what I'm saying? And there's phaser on phaser and P2 duplicate identifier AABB. So it's actually installing it the module again, right? So me being as crazy as I am is what I'm going to do. See if that works. So now I have two errors. Duplicate identifier in phaser for phaser under pixie.js. So I'm redeclaring it. So I'm going to go back to pixie.ts, and I get all this. These are all the things. So I might as well just take this out. See if I can kill the dependency here. So all I want is phaser put into, right? Transpile, please. Yeah, 99 plus errors. And let's get rid of Pixie. So I just want to just see if I'm what the errors are. And I still have my files. I haven't touched my files, so I can always go back. But this is the problem that we have with some of this stuff. It's not a big deal. We're going to fix it. And transpile. 99 plus errors. And it says phaser, duplicate identifier phaser, where? Where is it? Under phaser comments. Oh, now I have to go back to that stuff and get rid of it. So I'm going to do it over here because it's finding them in here. And let's just get rid of them because there's no more of those. And I have it in my trash, so I can always go back. Okay, and so transpile that. 2 errors. Good. We're down to 2 errors. And inside typings phaser. So typings phaser. And declare class phaser. This is weird. And declare module phaser. So that's something that they haven't updated lately. Static version, strings, and everything else. For my class phaser and my module phaser. So phaser. This is what it's going to look like. Duplicate identifier phaser. Class namespace phaser. Okay, what else? What are my 2 different things? So phaser.t.ts in the same file. So something's up with the typings for sure. Like there's something different than for this one for me to use it, right? What I think I need to do is my phaser class has to stay. My phaser module, maybe we need to make it so it's something else. It's called something else, and that's okay because what it's going to mean is when we import stuff. Remember, this is only for our the stuff we're doing, right? So I could make one of these small, like lowercase. So for example, I'm going to make my module phaser with a lowercase p. But when I do that, I have a bunch more errors because it expects my phaser.framework. So that's one way to do it. And up here for my phaser.game, it's a problem. So let's just go back, undo that change. Undo. I'll fix it. Because trust me. Right? And I'll redo this one for now, for lowercase, to Hazer for a second, right? which I only have these errors, action, animation parser, and so on, because duplicate identifier. That's a real big problem, guys. So I wanted to find out what the other issue is. Class animation, phaser animation, duplicate identifier. Okay, so let's transpile that one and see if I can get rid of that thing. So hazer is what's going to be, is what's going to call, and I'm going to rename this module. I'll say rename symbol to phaser lowercase p. I was looking for phaser comments still. All right, so where is that going to be found? Okay, well, let's see that where that is. So we'll say phaser.comments. It's looking for it somewhere, that's for sure. Watch with phaser. So let's try that. So control, right click. Might be a no-go, right? Well, without lots of changes. Rename symbol to phaser. Let's see what it does. Error, file not found. User Thomas desktop scripts lib phaser typescript phaser.comments.d.ts. Why is it looking for that? Where is it looking for that? It says reference to phaser.ds in the project. Please use TypeScript 1.4 plus. Phaser.d.ts contains a reference to pixie.d.ts and P2. So both these files remain siblings in the same directory. As deviated from the official project. If you are a Pixie user, pick up the ball over at the official Pixie TypeScript repo. GitHub Pixie.js TypeScript. Feel free to improve in any way. Please make the changes. Thanks again. So let's get rid of that. I know what to do. Thanks for that. All right. So, but this is what I have. So I called it hazer instead of phaser for a second because I want to rename this symbol, but it's not allowing me to because of all these extra errors. And I wonder if I can pick it out of a lineup. Because when I try and change it, sorry, just to see where it is, I want to see what it looks like. I can probably find it a different way. So phaser, maybe I'll look it up in a different editor that has no references. So I'm going to do, sorry, I'm going to just rename this stuff. I want to change all occurrences. How about that? To phaser, lowercase, and it went back. See how I did that? Okay, we'll change all occurrences. Change all occurrences to hazer, or to laser. There we go, laser. Curious if it'll let me do that. Good. Now I'll change it back to phaser. Change all occurrences to phaser. Enter, and it puts it capital against. Yeah, it does that. Yeah. These are all the occurrences of phaser in the library. The other place to check is where it's looking for those other libraries. Sometimes it's at the bottom. Tween manager, class tween is like all duplicate. And let's just check here for my scripts, my lib core. It does, it includes them still. And here they're still here, right? Meanwhile, I got rid of them. Okay, so undo and put this back as phaser. And you know what? I know what might be the problem, because that's funny, because I don't have a TypeScript folder in my folder anymore. Let me take a look. Resources. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to close off Visual Studio Code for a second, right? And completely close it off and relaunch. Let's see if I can get that going. It's good, right? And I don't have an error here or here anymore, but I got a bunch of other errors, other places. Like notice here's all the errors. So transfile. Okay, so I've got my. I'll leave this for a second. It's showing 99 errors, but I'm going to ignore them for a second. Clear this up, and I'm going to go into my my lib file for phaser, right? And I'm going to start including them in my index.html. So bear with me before you go. So I'll go in here. I'll say I know it's in my scripts, so I'll say script source is equal to scripts / lib / phaser / build. I think it is build. It's weird. That's changed lately. Build / phaser.min.js, right? And I might as well include jQuery and all that stuff too. So I'll say script and then source is equal to, and under lib, so it's scripts lib, and then it's jQuery dist. jQuery, and then it's jQuery dist jQuery.min.js, and the other one is script source, which is equal to scripts, and then it's under lib bootstrap, and then it's under dist.js bootstrap.min.js, and I have to put the jQuery before the bootstrap, so I'm just going to change that order around. So cut, paste. So and to test it, the way you do it is you go command and link to see if you get the link, which I do. I link to those files, so that's good. So those files are in. And now I got to include my regular file, which I'm putting under my core lib folder, right? So core under game.ts, right? There's my game.ts. So that's going to be, this is going to be my, just for now, these are going to be my JavaScript libraries. And so this is, and then I need another section that I'm going to have my game scripts. Hey, take care, man. See you later. And I'm going to put script in there with my source is equal to scripts. And under that, it's core, and then it's game.js, which I'm going to put in there. So that's my core game script. And then I need to put in my CSS files. So I'm going to say link with my, it's under scripts lib, and I want to put in my bootstrap. So it's going to be under bootstrap dist CSS bootstrap.min.css. All this work. And then scripts lib, and then bootstrap dist CSS bootstrap dash theme, min.css. So there's bootstrap stuff in there. And then I want to add in my my own, which is going to be under content. Yeah, see. So lib bootstrap.this. Yeah, that's good. I want to go into content. So content.game.css. So it's me contents and then game.css. Okay, so I've got that file. Save everything. I got a bunch of warnings and errors, but don't worry about that because those errors are TypeScript errors. They're not error errors. And it could be because I don't have, oh, damn. It could be because I don't have any of the files that I require. So let's go to this little demo here and grab the files I need and make my simple game in my game.ts file. So I'll grab all this, copy it, and go back to my game.ts file under scripts core, game.ts, and start pasting. And let's see if it works. So simple game constructor this.game is equal to new phaser, picked up phaser game, right? With this preload, this create game, which is of type phaser game, and this would be public the way they made it here. So let me add that in. Public game, phaser game, and they did it here, which I wouldn't do. I would put it up here because they didn't. I'm talking about best practice here. So these are my instance of variables for phaser game, and this is my public preload method that returns void. Right? Sorry, just modifying this code here, and my create method that also returns void. Public create method that returns void. My constructor is good. My window unload actually is using a lambda to load up my game. So if I launch this thing, it should work as is if I've done everything correctly. So just done. And I think that's it, right? I don't have a logo for my image. I wonder if they included one in the scripts.lib under my phaser. Docs, filters, source, core, animation. I don't think they included that as a thing. Here's Pixie, so they actually include a version of Pixie in the source code. Like they've got everything in here. Resources for my phaser logo. Here it is. And 2D texts. My glow. My ping file. No glow. So glow. That's the one. And which one do they give us? This one or? Okay, I use this one. And what other things they have here? So that one. That one. So I'll copy this. So that's under resources. So library here, resources, and under here there's phaser logo, and it's under ping. There is logo small. This is the one I want. Copy. I shall just drag and drop into my assets images folder. There. Cool, cool. And now let's see what it does in my file, which is my game.ts file. And it's looking at phaser2.ping. That's not what I want. I want to look at, we're in here in our lib, we have to have the right path. So in my core, I got to swim up one to scripts, and then I want to swim down into assets. So it's got to be one up to scripts, and then down into assets, and then down into images, and then down into something that is called phaser-logo. Phaser-logo small. Ping. And now I'm going to transpile, and I should have that transpiled in there. So let's check to see if it's transpiled with all these errors. Should still do it, but you never can tell. And then hopefully it'll work for you. Yay. Okay, so our reference path is good. And let us run this thing in a window. And we'll do that here by going to HTTP server. Lots of work, Jay. Localhost 8080. Localhost 8080. And let's see if we get an error. Killing. So this is part one. Yeah, took a little bit of work. Well, we just, you know, I haven't used it in a while. Phaser's changed up. Before it was totally TypeScript compatible. It looks like they have not abandoned it, but they the support for it is, this is good. Look, Phaser 2.4. This is what it pipes out. Leave some love at phaser.io. But this is good. This has created our game. So what we've done here in our code, before we go to part for the day, is we've created a class, which I probably would have put into its own folder file called simple game, which I would make the game class. And what this is doing is it's creating a new Phaser game, right? Which I wouldn't even do it this way. I would extend phaser.game, right? And in my constructor, right, I would send 800, 600 Phaser auto content, all this kind of stuff into my superclass. So it simplified this even more, right? And here's my preload. I'm preloading something that I'm calling logo. I'm mentioning that it's this game load image. And then in my create method, I'm just, once I call simple game, this preload and create, these are overloads. Probably what's happening is this is what's causing this to happen. And I'm adding the logo, right? Game add sprite. I'm using this game add sprite method to the game world center and center X and center Y, and I'm adding the logo object that I preloaded, and I'm assigning it to logo, and then I'm going to set the anchor to the middle. That's the registration point, to the middle of my logo. That's all I'm doing here. Which is kind of a backwards way of doing it, but that's okay. And the window on load function waits for the window to load without doing a body on load is equal to init, right? That's what this is doing. Yeah. It's just a little bit different because in my constructor, I'm calling this dot preload, right? Preload is equal to this dot preload, which is this. I'm calling this in my constructor, and I'm calling my create function, and I'm passing those two things in as an object, as a parameter to my game, which is 800 by 600. And if I was to change this up to show you the difference, if I go 640 by 480 as an example, which is our normal size, and if I review, and I'm going to go here and Control C and relaunch the server and go back out to the page here and refresh, then I should have a smaller page, right? So we're going to get into it next week. I will investigate the errors that we're getting, and I'll see if I can find a good type definition library for Phaser, because sometimes what happens is even from their site, they have older resources that work better, believe it or not. So if I go up in here, and the great thing is I want code hinting. So if I was to go and type inside my constructor, this is what I really want, this dot, or Phaser. So I'm getting Phaser.game. I get all this stuff. So I'm getting the code hinting. This is good. I'm happy. Forget the errors. Who cares about the errors? The errors are just TypeScript errors, like type definition errors, not actual errors. Now this might mask a problem that I have, which I got to be careful about. Because I'm using a library that's referenced incorrectly, or it's using the other references. I'm ready for you, whenever you're ready. Come in. Yeah.
Okay, guys.
So that's it for today. We'll get together next week.